Here's another question I get quite often is what's the right mouse button for? And a lot of people don't know when to click with the right mouse button and when to click with the left mouse button. And I'd like to think that this was easy enough for people to figure out, but I'm amazed that people just don't get it. A left click selects things. So if I want to click, whenever I say click, I always mean the left mouse button, first of all. And a left click will always do something. So if I click on the start button, it brings up the start menu. And if I click on Microsoft Edge, the web browser, it brings up the web browser. Well, what if I right click on both of those things? And you should just try it all over the place. I would say right click all over the place and you'll see what happens. What happens is a menu comes up. That's it. Nothing actually happens. When you right click anywhere on the computer screen, all it does is bring up a menu having to do with whatever you right clicked on. So if I right click on the start button, it actually brings up this useful menu that I use a lot. You might not. If you right click on the on any one of the icons down on the taskbar, I'm going to do it to the web browser. It gives me an option to unpin it or close it or do various other things. And if I right click on the calculator, I can choose different calculators. There's nothing dangerous about right clicking. If I want to right click on the clock, it'll bring me a million options, one of which is to adjust the date and time, right? So you should right click everywhere because it always does something. And then another people seem to be confused that a right click is always followed by a left click to choose something in the menu, not two right clicks. So right click to bring up the menu, left click to choose something, and if you don't want to choose anything, well, just click anywhere outside of the menu. That's it. It's not hard. Along those same lines, there is something called double clicking. So that's the left mouse button. A lot of people want to know when to double click. And the best answer to that is, when in doubt, single click first. So if I single click here on the desktop, nothing happens. And if I double click, nothing happens. So nothing's supposed to happen. The best demonstration of a double click might be when you have an icon on the desktop and you double click it, it opens the recycle bin, for example. Okay, and so any icon that you have on the desktop, for example, if I put the calculator on the desktop, I click it will just select it, right? If double click it will open it when it's on the desktop. Contrast that with whatever you put on the taskbar down below. You only need to single click one of these items on the taskbar down below. So the calculator doesn't need to be double clicked. All I have to do is click it once. So things on the taskbar can be launched by clicking them once. Anything on the desktop you can double click to open. Another great example, and just like right clicking, I would just try it all over Windows. What happens if I double click on the clock down here in the lower right corner of the screen? Oh, well, a calendar comes up. Pretty neat. You never know till you try, and that's how I learned. So another instance would be if you're in your word processor and you go to open a document by clicking File, Open. Well, I could click this document that I saved and then come all the way down here to open it. Or there's a little shortcut where you can just double click it and it performs both steps at once. So it can actually save you a lot of time as well. Hard to say where to do it and where not to do it, but I would say just click once first and try double clicking the next time and see what happens. And hopefully you'll remember as you go. The final button is the middle button on a mouse, and not many people use that to do anything other than scroll. So let's say I'm on an article here. Instead of reaching all the way over to the teeny weeny little scroll bar over here, you can just put your mouse pointer anywhere in the middle of a page and make sure you've selected the page. You know, you can't do it from here. Actually, you can. It scrolls. So when you roll the ball in the middle of the mouse towards you, it scrolls up and down. Hopefully everybody knows that one as well. A neat trick about that as well is if you push that roller ball down, which a lot of people do by accident, you can see it turns into a little double-headed arrow, and you can just kind of move it slowly up or down and it'll actually scroll the page for you. You know, I don't know whoever does that, but that's what the middle button of the mouse is all about. That's it. Not difficult.